Dwight Manfredi didn't arrive in Tulsa looking for trouble. But the moment he stepped off that bus, you could feel the air change. He wasn't loud. He didn't brag. He didn't need to. His calm walk through a strange city felt more powerful than any gunshot. People didn't know his name yet, but they could sense something different, something dangerous, something that was about to flip their entire world upside down. The first time Dwight sets foot in Tulsa, he looks like a man who already owns the place, even though he knows nothing about it. He isn't confused, he isn't lost, and he definitely isn't scared. After spending 25 years in prison, most men would come out slow and sure and broken. But Dwight comes out with a calm fire inside him, the kind that only grows stronger when the world tries to hold him down. He takes a moment to look around the city, not in shock, but like he's studying a chessboard. He's thinking, planning, and deciding where to make his first move. And even though the city isn't ready for him, he is more than ready for it. The moment he gets into that cab with Tyson, you can feel how confidently he steps back into the world. He talks like a man who never let prison take his power. He still carries the weight of a leader, and even Tyson, who doesn't know who Dwight is, can't help but notice the presence of someone important sitting behind him. Dwight isn't trying to act tough. His words are simple, calm, and straight, but every sentence carries a sharp edge. He asks Tyson questions in a way that feels less like a conversation and more like an evaluation. Dwight is already choosing who might be useful, who might be loyal, and who might help him rebuild the life that was stolen from him. When Dwight arrives at the weed shop, he doesn't burst in with threats or noise. He walks in slowly, like he has all the time in the world. That calmness is what makes people nervous. Bodie, the guy running the place, tries to act smart at first, maybe even a little arrogant. He thinks Dwight is just another old man confused by the modern world. But Dwight doesn't argue. He doesn't explain who he is. He simply listens, watches, and waits for the right moment. And then, with a few words and a simple demand, he flips the whole situation in his favor. The way Dwight talks to Bodie is pure power. He doesn't shout. He doesn't threaten. He just states things like they're facts, things that cannot be changed. When he tells Bodie that he wants a cut of the business, it doesn't sound like a request. It sounds like a rule. It sounds like something that has already been decided long before the conversation even started. And the best part is how Dwight stays calm while Bodie panics. That's what separates Dwight from every other gangster. He doesn't control people by fear. He controls them by certainty. He believes in his own authority so strongly that other people start believing in it too, even when they don't want to. By the time Dwight leaves the shop, he has already established his first claim in Tulsa. No gunfight, no threats, no chaos. Just pure confidence, pure dominance, pure leadership. He walks out with the same calm energy he walked in with, but now he has something more: a foothold, a place to start building, a place to take over. And the people he met that day, Tyson and Bodie, don't fully understand what just happened, but they will soon. They just became part of Dwight Manfredi's world, a world that grows fast and never stops expanding. And this is only the beginning of his rise as the new boss of Tulsa. Dwight never planned to build an empire in Tulsa, but the universe has a strange way of placing the right people in front of the right leader. And Dwight is the kind of man who can spot potential the second he sees it. That's exactly what happens with Tyson. Most people would see Tyson as just another young guy trying to make money driving a cab. But Dwight looks deeper. He sees fire, curiosity, and something even more important: loyalty waiting to be shaped. Tyson isn't scared of Dwight. He's fascinated by him. Every answer he gives, every question he asks, reveals a part of him that Dwight understands perfectly. Tyson wants purpose. He wants direction. And Dwight is a master at giving people exactly that, even before they realize they need it. The bond between them doesn't begin with threats or deals. It begins with respect, simple, quiet respect that grows every time they talk. Dwight knows he can teach Tyson And Tyson looks at Dwight the way a rookie looks at a general who has survived every war. Then there's Bodhi. Unlike Tyson, Bodhi doesn't admire Dwight at first. He sees him as a problem, a complication, a man who walks in and starts making demands without knowing how the world works now. But that's where Bodhi is wrong. Dwight may be old school, but he understands people better than anyone. He sees that Bodhi is smart, resourceful, and capable of building something bigger than a small dispensary. The funny thing is, Bodhi thinks he's the one running a business. But Dwight sees the truth. Bodhi is trapped in a world where he thinks too small. Dwight pushes him, not by force, but by creating a bigger vision, the kind of vision Bodhi didn't even know he could be part of. It's surprising how quickly fear turns into respect, and respect turns into partnership. Bodhi realizes that being on Dwight's side is not a burden, but an opportunity to rise higher than he ever could alone. As Dwight continues to move through Tulsa, more people naturally gravitate toward him. Some are drawn by curiosity, others by fear, and a few by admiration. Dwight doesn't recruit the loud ones or the tough ones. He picks the ones with heart, the ones with loyalty, the ones who understand that following the right leader can change their whole lives. He never begs anyone to join him. He simply shows them what he's capable of, how he solves problems, how he protects his people, and how he stands firm when others panic. People start to see that Dwight isn't building a gang. He's building a family. A different kind of family, one based not on blood, but on trust and shared risk. The smartest thing Dwight does is give everyone a role that fits their strengths. Tyson becomes the driver, but also a student learning the ways of the world from a man who has lived through the worst of it. Bodhi becomes the money mind, helping Dwight understand modern tech and operations. Others join along the way, each one filling a space Dwight already prepared in his mind. He built his team the same way he survived prison, patiently, strategically, and with absolute certainty. He knows exactly who he wants and who he'll never trust. And Tulsa, with all its flaws and opportunities, becomes the perfect place for a man like him to rise again. What makes this crew special isn't their skills, it's the way they believe in Dwight. Even when they don't fully understand his plans, they feel safe around him. They feel stronger. They feel like they are part of something bigger than themselves. Dwight doesn't lead through fear like most men in his world. He leads through guidance, through calm authority, and through the quiet promise that if you stand with him, he will never let you fall. In a city full of strangers, he finds loyal hearts and turns them into a team. And just like that, without even trying, Dwight Manfredi starts building the foundation of an empire, one loyal follower at a time. When word begins to spread that an unknown older man is moving money in Tulsa like he owns the streets, the biker gang doesn't stay quiet. They rule their own corners with loud engines and louder tempers, and they are used to people stepping aside when they pass. But Dwight is different. He doesn't step aside for anyone. The first time he crosses paths with them, you can feel the clash before anyone even speaks. Their energy is wild and explosive, but Dwight's is cold and controlled. The bikers operate through fear, fast, loud, and aggressive. Dwight operates through presence, quiet, steady, and unshakable. It's the kind of difference that instantly confuses men who rely on intimidation. They bark, Dwight doesn't even raise his voice. They push, Dwight doesn't move an inch. And that's what scares them more than anything. When they try to warn him, Dwight listens without blinking. He hears every word they throw at him, but none of it touches him. He's dealt with real killers, real threats, men who earn their fear through action, not noise. Compared to that, these bikers feel like kids pretending to be monsters. Dwight doesn't insult them because he doesn't need to. His calm expression alone tells them they're unmatched. When they threaten his people, the switch flips instantly. That's the thing about Dwight, he can take anything thrown at him, but he won't tolerate anyone messing with those under his protection. His loyalty is stronger than any weapon. So when he decides to respond, he doesn't plan a war meeting or a dramatic speech. He walks straight into their space with the confidence of someone who survived decades in a cage and came out harder than steel. The bikers are used to getting reactions, But Dwight gives them something they've never faced before: absolute fearlessness. When he confronts them, the air goes tight, like everyone is holding their breath. Dwight speaks simply, directly, like a man issuing final instructions, not negotiating. The bikers laugh at first, but underneath their noise, you can see uncertainty building. They can feel that Dwight is not the kind of man who bluffs. Everything about him, from the slow way he moves to the calm way he talks, tells them he has already faced worse situations and walked out alive. He doesn't need to shout to prove anything. He only needs to stand there. His silence hits harder than their threats. His stare cuts deeper than their words. They see a man who has nothing left to lose and everything left to build, and that. When things turn physical, Dwight handles the situation with the precision of someone who fought for survival every day for 25 years. He doesn't swing wildly. He doesn't panic. Every punch he throws is clean, focused, and final. The bikers come at him with speed, but Dwight fights with experience. He knows how to end a fight quickly, and he knows how to send a message even faster. When the dust settles, he doesn't brag about winning. He doesn't gloat. He simply stands over a group of men who now understand exactly who they are dealing with. The message is written clearly across their faces. Dwight is not a man to underestimate. What makes this moment powerful isn't the fight itself. It's what follows. Instead of walking away like a monster, Dwight calmly gives them a chance to make the smart choice. He doesn't want chaos. He wants order. He wants respect. He wants a city where his people can move without fear. And deep down, the bikers know they've just crossed paths with someone who isn't trying to be king. He already is one. They step back, not because they are weak, but because they finally understand strength when they see it. Tulsa has seen tough guys before, but Dwight Manfredi is something different. He's a storm disguised as a quiet man. And after this confrontation, the city finally realizes that the man they tried to ignore is becoming the one they will have to fear, respect, and eventually follow. Once Dwight starts building real power in Tulsa, the noise reaches places he can't ignore: the fads and the old-school mob world he walked away from. Both groups think they know him. Both think they can control him. And both are wrong in the same exact way. They believe Dwight is still the man they remember from 25 years ago, the loyal soldier, the quiet enforcer, the guy who would rather rot in a cell than break his code. The truth is, prison didn't weaken Dwight, it refined him. It sharpened him into something colder, smarter, and far more dangerous. When the feds begin circling around him, he doesn't panic or hide. He watches them the same way a lion watches a group of hunters who don't realize the jungle belongs to him. The agents try to corner him with questions, files, and threats, hoping to shake him into submission. But they quickly learn that Dwight Manfredi is immune to pressure. He answers calmly, gives nothing away, and leaves them more frustrated each time. They look at him like a puzzle they can't solve. They want him back behind bars. But Dwight knows their playbook better than they do. And he's always 3 steps ahead. Then comes the deeper threat: the old mafia crew from New York, the same people who abandoned him, used him, and forgot him the moment he got locked up. They expect Dwight to bow his head, to fall back in line, to pay respect to a system that betrayed him. But Dwight has changed. He knows the difference now between loyalty and slavery. When they send warnings, Dwight listens. When they send messengers, he studies them. When they try to pull him back into their control, he simply smiles, not out of fear but out of understanding. He sees their weakness. He sees that the world has moved on while they stay trapped in their old ways. They think tradition is power. Dwight knows adaptability is stronger. They think they can intimidate him with titles and old connections. Dwight knows a real leader doesn't need a crown, he only needs followers who believe in him. As the pressure grows, Dwight refuses to bend. He moves through Tulsa with the calm certainty of a man who already survived his worst days. The mafia tries to shake him by attacking his alliances. The feds try to corner him by building cases. But Dwight responds to every hit with the same steady strength. He protects Tyson and Bodhi like they're extensions of himself. He shields his growing empire with calculated moves instead of reckless violence. He knows when to show his teeth and when to stand completely still. That balance is what makes him powerful. He doesn't wage war blindly. He waits for the perfect moment to strike, and when that moment comes, he hits where it hurts most at the pride of the people who thought they owned him. What makes Dwight terrifying to his enemies is his clarity. He isn't trying to prove anything. He isn't seeking revenge. He's simply building a life he believes he earned, and he won't let anyone take it away. The feds keep digging, but they can't find cracks in a man who never leaves loose ends. The mafia keeps pushing, but they can't intimidate someone who survived betrayal once and learned from it. Dwight understands both sides better than they understand each other. He uses silence as a weapon, patience as a shield, and loyalty as the foundation of every move he makes. He doesn't need violence to show strength. His presence alone is enough to warn both the law and the criminals that Tulsa now has a new power. One they can't control and definitely can't underestimate. By the time the feds and the mafia realize what Dwight has become, it's too late. He isn't playing their game anymore. He's building his own. Every step he takes sends a message he's not a pawn, not a soldier, not an old relic trying to relive the past. He's a leader who refuses to bow. He's a man carving out his future with his own hands. And for the first time in decades, Dwight Manfredi isn't serving anyone's empire. He's creating his own. Tulsa might not have seen it coming, but now the whole city knows. The man they tried to watch, control, and break is becoming the one force they cannot stop. Dwight never steps into Tulsa planning to build an empire, but the city practically opens its arms to him without realizing it. Tulsa is wild but full of gaps, broken systems, weak leadership, businesses that survive on luck instead of strength. Where others see a random spread of problems, Dwight sees a clear blueprint. He sees how every piece connects, how every opportunity hides inside a crisis, and how every person who feels overlooked might be the key to something bigger. Building an empire is not about money for Dwight. It's about control, structure, and purpose. It's about creating a world where his people can breathe safely and rise higher than life ever allowed them to. And the most dangerous thing about Dwight is that he builds quietly. No flashy entrances, no big speeches, no threats thrown around like cheap currency. He just works. He moves, he grows. And before anyone realizes it, his influence stretches across Tulsa like roots under the ground, strong enough to shift the whole city. The smartest part of Dwight's rise is how he uses every modern tool he once avoided. He listens to Bodhi instead of pretending to know everything. He learns how money moves in a digital age, how businesses hide behind paperwork, and how power works differently outside New York. He adapts without losing his old-school strength. That combination makes him unpredictable, a man who understands the old rules, but isn't afraid of the new game. His empire doesn't grow from violence. It grows from strategy. He invests in businesses, buys loyalty without bribing souls, and takes over neighborhoods by offering protection instead of fear. People begin to whisper his name not because they are terrified, but because they feel safer knowing someone like him is watching. Dwight doesn't want to rule the city with an iron fist. He wants to rule it with a steady hand. He wants to build something that lasts. Tyson becomes his right-hand shadow on the streets. A young guy learning the ropes, observing how Dwight handles problems with a kind of wisdom that can't be found in books. Bodhi becomes Dwight's eyes in the financial world, showing him how money flows faster than bullets. Slowly, Dwight creates a team that covers every angle: muscle, brains, loyalty, and ambition. And every person in his crew grows because of him. He doesn't ask them to be perfect. He doesn't expect them to be saints. He only wants them to stand strong, stay honest, and keep their word. That simple code becomes the backbone of his new empire. While other crime bosses drown in chaos, Dwight builds order. While others break their own people to stay powerful, Dwight lifts his people so they rise with him. And that is why they follow him without hesitation. Not because they fear him, Because they trust him. As his influence spreads, Tulsa begins to change. Doors open where they used to slam shut. Businesses that were failing suddenly find protection. People who were ignored or pushed aside now have someone who listens. Dwight doesn't brag about his growth, but everyone starts to feel it. From street corners to back rooms, from local bars to quiet neighborhoods, his presence becomes impossible to ignore. He becomes the silent force shaping the city's heartbeat. And strangely, Tulsa starts to accept him. The city treats him less like an outsider and more like a necessary storm, dangerous, powerful, but bringing change that no one else had the strength to deliver. What makes Dwight's empire truly unique is how deeply it reflects who he is. It's not built on fear. It's built on loyalty. It's not driven by greed. It's driven by purpose. It's not a kingdom of gold. It's a network of people who finally feel seen and valued. Dwight turns simple opportunities into strong foundations and transforms simple connections into lifelong loyalty. Every deal he makes, every choice he takes, every person he protects becomes a brick in the empire he never planned to build but now refuses to let crumble. And in the middle of this growing storm stands Dwight Manfredi, the quiet architect of a rising power, proving to Tulsa and to himself that even after losing 25 years of life, he can build something far bigger than the world ever expected.